Don't laugh at him. Please don't. Okay, let me continue with the story.
Oh,
man. Even today, it's still funny. Oh my gosh, if you haven't heard this show, it's Talk Lately, and it's only on BeExposedRadio.com every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and on YouTube. Just go to Be Exposed
And
Radio.
the guy, my friend was like, hey, there's a young lady walking down. He's like, hey, you should go holler at her. And I'm like, nah, man, nah. You know, I'm a shy guy anyway, so I'm not going to do that. But he's like, yeah, do it, man. Go ahead, do it. So I said, hey, how are you? She kept walking past, and my friend also yelled out something as well. So she had stopped, and she had looked at us or whatever, and she said, this was the day before Christmas, too. It was so bad. And she's like, God damn it, it's Christmas. Like, leave me alone. And I'm like, what's wrong? I'm just trying to talk to you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm literally trying to talk to her. I'm catcalling. And I'm thinking, like, you know, it's funny. You know what I mean? I'm literally thinking, this was a couple years ago. I'm literally thinking, like, this is funny. Huh? You know what I mean? Like, whatever. We get into that bar, and she's there. Okay? And she lays me out.
Good for her.
She lays me out. I'll tell you, I mean, little do I know, I had dealt with a hardcore feminist that day. She even told me, she's like, I'm a feminist. You did not know that. You do not know who I am. You do not know where I'm from. You do not know who I know.
What's up, guys? It's your boy, Shepsworth Bentley. And if you haven't heard last week's show, make sure you guys go into BeExposedRadio.com's Facebook page or YouTube page and check it out, because you don't want to miss it. Our next show is going to be next Sunday, every Sunday, 7 to 8 p.m., Homegrown Radio, new, fresh Baltimore radio.
The Inspired Radio Show. Tune in every Wednesday from 7 to 9 p.m.
I'll give you an example of mine, and this is real simple, but I know I'm not the only one that this happened to. So I went to Target last night, and I'm shopping. I'm just filling my cart with this and that. Ooh, I like this. Ooh, a little Christmas gift right there. Get to the register. They ringing it all up, and they say, ma'am, your total is blah, blah, blah. I open my wallet. I go in my wallet, and my debit card is not in there. I was caught slipping, y'all. I was caught slipping. Oh, my wonderful merchandise. I had to leave there at the store because I was caught slipping. I didn't have my card. Now, I know I'm not the only one that has happened to. For sure. Alright, so
before I walk into places I check, I'd be like, hold on, before I go in and touch anything, let me just...
I know. I probably will do that now. Hopefully.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome, we are back. I'm just going to believe and assure that so many people had tuned in
at the same time
down to the Sunset Soul that we just was like, they was like, what are we supposed to? Okay, anyway, it went a little haywire, but we are back, and I thank everybody who has returned. Y'all coming back in the room, thank you so much. If you could do me a favor and share this again so that those who are watching will be able to jump back in. We have with us Miss Rachel Dolcine and her husband, Mr. Pierre Dolcine. And they are here telling us about the Mothers and Sons Summit that is coming up February the 17th, not this Saturday. February the 17th, 2018. So within a couple weeks, on a Saturday from 9 to 5, free event for Mothers and Sons. The whole first half of the show, you'll see all the details about the awesome event. I'm telling you, you're going to want to be a part. Go visit www.COMPASSCTS.com and register as soon as possible because the spots are filling up really quick. Sunset Soul will be there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you coming to the event?
What event? Oh, this event.
Oh my God.
Yes. You got to be there with Mr. Pierre.
Don't pressure him.
Okay.
Mr. Pierre, I will be there. I will be there, Mr. Pierre.
I'm sure you have a few people that you want to refer to the event.
But I thought it was just for the women and children. But if
no,
it
it's for sons.
I'm teaching a class outside ties.
Safe here.
Oh, I'm done. I'm there. I'm definitely there.
We want men there. We definitely want to see y'all there. Sunset Soul will be there. We'll be going live. We'll be interviewing some parents and Love Dawn, myself here, will have her book, Nivea, and hopefully those will come out, and we'll kind of talk about that a bit. So it's going to be an awesome event. I will say, before the interruption, because everybody came at the same time, it's okay. Before the interruption, we were talking about last week's show, which was, are we obligated to support based on gender, sex, or religion? Now, last week, I forgot what the first topic was because Monique took over the show because everybody had a opinion.
That's not why.
Okay, why should take over the show?
Tell the truth.
Monique took over the show because you have an unhealthy obsession with tearing Monique down.
Why do everybody think? Listen, let me first say this.
Monique basher.
No, I'm not. Let me first say this. I even wrote this in the notes because I received inboxes. Like tags and posters and so forth on both Instagram, Facebook, and everything about some other, different clips. And I don't know how I came off as like this Monique hater. I'm not a Monique hater. The question was, what can she do to redeem herself? I want her to come back.
We're not gonna talk about Monique.
I guess no, but I'm saying, but it seemed like that's how people was assuming. But the thing that got me is after going back and forth with a friend of mine, at the end of the post, he wrote, I'm sorry, let me just because I wrote it down. As a black woman, that is a sad response from you. And I ended, and we're right back where we started from. Why do I have to support? Because you're saying now, because of me being black, and then because of me being a woman, that I have to feel some sort of way about Monique. And that's what this topic is. Why do you feel like I have to support you based on this situation? And I had an issue with that. So,
as you should.
Right. But there was a few things that we did not get a chance to discuss. I know for one, I'm quite sure y'all saw the different clips of like the different sex dolls and stuff that is coming out right now. And Miss Lisha G and the Bishop, of course, told me that it was, what was the word? It was what? Why did you tell me? Okay, no.
I'm sorry. Are you talking about the specific one? Because I immediately
it was
went to the children.
But I got that here. But that before we saw the children, it was the adult women. And
are you talking about the spiritual aspect of it?
What did you tell me? It was, why was I not supposed to? Well, I wouldn't want to go.
I said it's perverted.
It was perverted. Now, anybody who know me know, yes, I'm the host, so I have to kind of be neutral. Yes, that's a nice word to put it.
You said you're the who?
She's the host.
Oh.
I have to be neutral. But listen, because I have to speak.
We need to hit us.
I have to speak for the little man. I have to speak for the person who may like the doll, because my co-hosts
thank you, family, for watching
against the doll. Yes, thank y'all so much for coming back. We have some awesome viewers. I'm serious, because awesome anybody else would be like, girl, but I cut it off. We'll see it on a replay tomorrow. But y'all are here. There are people who enjoy this. All I am saying is that I don't want to be feel like I have to feel some kind of way because of our faith, and that was one of the questions. It being perverted was because of our faith. I don't really think it's any faith that would ever.
That wasn't about faith.
First of all, the definition of perversion is the alteration of something from its original course. It was never originally intended to have sex with a piece of plastic.
Well, they didn't have access, so you don't know. Listen, okay.
Alteration
okay.
from the original intent is a perversion. This isn't about so much my religious aspect or perspective of it. It's by definition.
Okay.
Sex was meant to happen between.
But this was my question. With a married couple, it's supposed to be that your bed is no longer defiled, right? That's what I was taught. So I didn't know that there was a thing that you could do that would then defile your bed.
Doesn't defile it, but it's perverted. So what it does is it causes your mindset to shift away from the original intent.
Yeah, exactly.
And then that thus creates new ideas and new creations that go beyond.
So are you standing on this based on just your belief? Like, let's take that out of the I understand that. I'm not disputing it. But if you were not in the church, if you did not, what would you stand on that? Is it just because you don't like it?
It's perverted.
So you would still stand on perversion even if it was not about your faith?
It's not about my faith.
Okay.
Even if you look at it, once you open certain doors, you cannot turn back. It's so or I won't say cannot, because God can do all things, but it's so difficult to turn back, and you can't turn off allowing that perversion and controlling it 100% without looking at the doors you just opened up. Meaning this, you start out with the doll.
Okay.
You start out with the doll, and you your wife, and the doll, or you, your wife, and whatever toy you want to use. And per se, your wife decides
wait, we can't use toys anymore?
Huh?
Keep going. See, this what I'm talking.
If you really want to get into it, let's get into it. Because what typically happens is, when you open doors of this magnitude, you don't get to control it fully. So you'll begin to develop behaviors you never thought you would have outside of you and your spouse. Okay. Now your spouse is not around, but you still having these cravings. You still having these desires.
But that's why you got the doll.
It takes place, but now it's not a marriage bed without your spouse.
And the doll is not going to be enough.
And we
develop tolerance for everything.
I say this a lot in my church. I say this often. You cannot allow the devil in your life and then control him once he get there. Like, you can't open certain doors and then tell who can come in and out of it, especially when it comes to sexual activities. You start out one way, but maybe even years later, you're wondering, how did I get here? Why am I looking at pornography so much? Why is it on my phone so much? It all started with just, hey, babe, let's come on and watch this show with me. And this show comes to this show. Hey, babe, there's nothing wrong. Let's make a movie. Now, it goes from making a movie to now you're all by yourself.
I'm going to make a movie. Give it a second. Hold on.
Okay. What would you
saying? Because things just start manifesting.
Yeah, it opens doors you can't control.
When it manifests, you don't know where it started from. Because a year goes to 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and then you don't know where the origin came from.
Exactly.
Right.
Then your appetites get so great that now you're beyond perverse or a perverted mentality. You're doing perverted actions.
Perfect example, like let's say you go on vacation, you go Spain. Well, you have a 2-bedroom apartment. You go to Spain, you get a hotel, you see all these exotic stuff, and then when you come back home, you're like, wait a minute, this house is so small.
Exactly.
You're like, wait a minute. You start seeing your house in a different light. You're like, oh my goodness, it's small. I need a lighter. I need a bed. I need mirrors.
Using that though, if you could bring a little bit of Spain into your 2-bedroom apartment, is that listen, listen, I'm not saying you should, but for a person who is either not married or people who are married or who have kind of like doll relationships and they're trying to spice up their relationship, like, why do people in any sort of religion, why do we make it such a, everything is so wrong to try or do or experience? Why do everything have to be?
Okay, let's pull it out of religion then.
Okay.
Because even if if this is not a religious aspect, there are some things that though we're old enough to do, they're not, you shouldn't open it up to yourself, because some people just don't have discipline.
I don't disagree with that, but the word should or shouldn't, those things usually come into play when you have some sort of...
No, well, should comes into play.
Okay.
Should comes into play when you're old enough, or shouldn't come into play when you're old enough to make your own decision. I can't tell you not to do it.
Should or shouldn't only applies when there are rules in place.
Right, but that,
exactly.
So, but we all are operating according to moral compass of some sort. So we all have a set of rules that we live by, and we know when we're doing something that we consider wrong or right. So it's really difficult to say that there are no boundaries of what you should and shouldn't do. This is why we hide when we do stuff that we know we shouldn't do.
It's not you know. You were taught that because when you're you don't have no understanding of what you should and shouldn't do until your parents enforce those things that's right or wrong.
No, you got a conscious. Some things are just, look, my mother never taught me.
The 70s,
but I know
the generation of the hippies and it was at the baby boomers, they were going around doing a whole lot of things that they're very liberal. France people, they walk around naked.
I don't think it means that they don't think it. I don't think it means that they don't feel it's wrong, or they don't feel it. Because I mean, what people do, Facebook is like what people do in public and how they come off doesn't speak to what they do behind closed doors or how they feel. So there are people on Facebook who they look very confident.
Right.
They look very whatever, but when you know them behind the scenes, they suffer from depression, they have self-esteem issues because we all put on a face. Right? So I just watched a documentary about the dolls because there's things that fascinate me. And so there was one of the men in the documentary attempted to get into a relationship. He's had a series of failed relationships. Because once you have, and they call it a relationship with this doll who is not human, can't give consent, that you can tighten or loosen, or you can fix this doll up to be in your head what you think an ideal woman is. Right. When a real woman presents herself, you can't have a relationship with her. You can't have a sexual relationship with her because your mind is now, you have created this unrealistic expectation.
And with that doll, as you can see, it's perfection.
Yes.
What you perceive, there is no flaw in them. There's not a scar. There's not a twitch in the eye.
But it's not a mutual relationship
it's
either.
Perfection. But then when you see that perfection and you lose that doll, you stop making your payments or whatever.
Right. They repo your girlfriend.
Let your girl repo.
The bank call you up and say we gonna have to get the loan. Full payment.
Just keep it.
Exactly. Listen. Low jack on your girl. No more action. Lord forgive me. Y'all forgive me.
Go ahead.
Once they start when they repo her, and now you have to deal with
the reality.
You know.
Right. But he can't have a relationship.
Right.
He's in a series of relationships.
And then he's gonna want that person he's in that relationship to be more like the doll.
Yeah.
And if I can get a little bit more, I want to say graphic, but that's what happens to a lot of relationships when guys or female watch a lot of pornography. You can no longer satisfy or get yourself excited about what you have here because your mind has created this picture or lifestyle that she can, or fantasy that you cannot meet up to. Right. So you're wondering, and I did a research on this, a lot of men with impotence. Thank you. With those issues, it's because they look at a lot of pornography. Right. So you're wondering, why can't I get excited about my woman? I can't get where I need to be at. If you look at the history or look at where it started at that first movie, and it gradually goes to your desire, your taste is going different. It's getting greater. You can't feed this monster you just created.
Yep. And it becomes an addictive cycle.
It becomes an addictive cycle. And once that cycle gets to a point where you're no longer just looking at male and female, then you're looking at all kinds of crazy stuff. And you wonder, is something wrong with me? It's something you've created in your mind, and your body will react to what your mind is telling you.
My fear, though, is that we tend to fade outside of the realm of our moral spectrum when more people become accepting of what we say or used to believe was wrong. So now that we're making these dolls popular and we're publicizing them, and everybody has them, now it's not a secret that I have a doll, or it's going to become the norm. And then once it's the norm, then it's no longer something that you shouldn't do.
Exactly.
I mean, but based on, but I do believe that. I do believe that all this is a how we say, the gateway into something much larger. But no different from robots and things like that. There's a gradual progression to a whole robot human that's your full-on companion. They're trying to make them where they're more cognitive and they can understand you and so forth. I mean, you can't stop that. That's inevitable. But the reason why I wanted to bring that back up is because this week there was the actor from Glee had Mark Salling. He died. He was 35 years old. He killed himself. And he had pled guilty to the possession of child pornography. And I really liked his character on Glee. Me and my kids watch Glee. Actually, probably one of my favorite characters. But the sex dolls, the kitty dolls, there was a whole conversation about this is just trying to normalize pedophilia. Now, and I know this is gonna probably sound crazy, but I think about stuff like this, like, because if people with this sickness or disease or mental health issue, whatever you want to label pedophilia, if it's really that, and it's something that, like, to some extent they can't control, you know, they make a conscious decision to do what they do, but I'm saying the way their mind works, especially if it's somebody who was a product of molestation, like it takes years sometimes to get yourself to a place that you can not or control your thoughts and things of that nature. Why is it a bad idea to have? I would prefer them have a doll than to hurt a child. I mean, I'm just asking: is this really the immediate absolute no?
But then that's not. But they're not craving the doll.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
Right.
They're not craving the doll. They're craving adolescence.
And once you give them a piece of the cake, eventually you're gonna want the whole thing. You cannot quench the fire once you start it. It's so hard. This a sexual desire is so crazy. Is that when, especially with men, when they don't get it as married men, when they don't get it as often as they want to, our behavior completely changes. Our attitude changes. Our mood swings changes. Imagine you giving this grown man who already have a mind for a child, a rubber child, and he still have the same desire. This rubber child is not going to fulfill what he's desiring, because actually he wants a human. What they're doing is when you get this doll, what's happening is you're breaking up relationships, which is what's designed for man and woman to have, a relationship, to build some kind of communication, to build a heart in this love tie, or however you want to say it. When you put this doll in play, I'm trying to find the best way to put it. When you put this doll in play, what you're doing, you're subjecting him not to have what he really needs, which is the relationship. Now he just has something to have sex with. He's not building the natural relationship, which is more important than anything. We don't want him to build the natural relationship with a child,
but he wants to.
But that's what he wants to. And so when that doll does not fulfill what he needs, what he's going to do is now go for what he's been doing, because it's all right to do it here. You understand what I'm saying? You created this monster. You've allowed this monster to practice on rubber. Now when he gets around,
is it better to just let the because obviously this isn't working.
Help.
But it's
Get him
help. What do you call him? The Rev?
Bishop.
So Bishop said
the Rev
something
is good
before.
for you.
Okay, Bishop Rev, Bishop Rev. He said something a little while ago that was really important. He said it begins here.
Right.
It's not a body and a sex issue. It's a mind issue.
Mind.
So when your mind is when you're suffering from pedophilia, which is still considered a mental illness, right? So when you suffer from that in your head, your body responds to what this tells you. So giving them a physical doll of whatever preference they like is not dealing with the issue. The issue's here.
Okay.
And so until this is dealt with, it doesn't matter what we give them. They're still going to go out and they're going to, and what you're actually doing is probably creating a monster. That's really what you're doing.
I apologize. I forgot there was a book I was reading, and they were saying in relationships, it's when there's the bonding between a man and a woman, it's the endorphins that stimulates you.
Right.
So,
we talked about that on the show about it's sex.
So it's the endorphins. So you always want that 2 minute, the 1 minute endorphins, and plus that's what makes you who you are.
Right.
So that now that whether they're watching their pornography, or they have that plastic doll, they're trying to get the same endorphins back, or the same, or build that relationship.
It's like an addict.
Build that relationship. Whether the chase, the little chase, the luring, they want that, so the chemical reaction, the endorphins is popping in. So until the end point where they actually trying to do it is that they reach that plateau.
Right.
So it's at the end of the day, it's the book is not going to do it, the magazine, the doll's not going to do it. It's that they want that relationship, or interaction.
I can understand
they
that.
want that endorphins, and that's biological.
Right.
And we can't.
The intention, as you put.
Well,
I don't just. Wait, I'm sorry.
You know that there are a lot of pedophiles that are jumping on board the LGBT.
Yes, to be added into that.
So ageism now is the new thing that they're kind of fighting for, the right to disregard age.
Right.
And
I'm ageless, so I
right.
what it is. Like, I
feel like a child inside.
You know what? And it's about, and listen, let me be clear. I am so not advocating for any type of pedophilia, but I have to ask the question because it's almost like, okay, so give him the doll, because that's what you think as a parent. If that's what's going to shut him up and keep him away from my child, give him 3 dolls, give him all kind of different race dolls. That's what I'm just going to tell you what a parent would think. But I do understand what you're saying. I even understand what you're saying as far as perversion, because I do understand that sex is it is spiritual. It's a connection. It is a spiritual.
You have a bunch of comments on you.
I know. I'm about to get into those. But I wanted to bring that into play now because I feel like some people are just saying no because they feel like they have to say no. This is not something that you would publicly say, yes, I agree to or not agree. And I feel like, well, why do you feel like why can't you be honest and say it's something that you would be willing, to do? Are you saying no because you really believe that it is perversion? Or are you saying no because you feel like you have to say no because of the stigma over the dolls? And same thing with this. And I immediately when I saw the kitty sex dolls, I'm like, oh, that's just immediate no, because that's what I believe. That's not something that I want. I don't want a baby, so that's not attractive to me. But this boy committed suicide. Now, whether he committed suicide because he was getting ready to go to jail or because he just hated himself for what he did, I don't know because I wasn't there. You look at these sex doll nouns and be like, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe that would have helped. Maybe they really battling in their mind and they can't control it, and it's a sickness. And like Dia put, that's like having drug addicts on methadone. The dolls. It's still a drug, but yeah, at the end of the day, though, we still patronize. We still give drugs to people, to addicts. We give them methadone. We give them Suboxone. That's not weaning them down. No. It's just sustaining them. But that's a sickness, and we understand that. But we don't do that for pedophiles and we're just using pedophiles.
I'm gonna be honest. A lot of the stuff that if it was about not wanting to be that way, then I kind of was I'm treading lightly because the man is gone.
He's gone, right.
But he would have did that a long time ago. He did that because he's embarrassed.
Yeah, I'm quite sure.
Career over.
I mean, but he could have been embarrassed.
He was going to jail.
Right.
I mean, there's so many different avenues that we could theoretically apply to why he would do something like that. But what happens when you don't push the issue and then they touch the wrong person's child?
Right.
And now you got that person gone and then the parent's in jail.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can advocate all day for options, but at the end of the day, it's going to be what it's going to be.
I would say this. I can, and it might be pushing the envelope to say this. I can look at a lot of big-time people, doctors, lawyers, even preachers, in their mind saying this is for them. Hey, I wouldn't mind doing that. I would do that, or that sounds like a good idea to do. But they won't do it because they know the doors that it begins to open up. It's not like they looked at it and be like, "Oh, I can't stand this. Everybody going to hell."
That's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing.
But what I'm saying,
right?
What I'm saying is, if they could come out and say, "I thought about it real quick," and said, "Nope, that's not a good idea," because a lot of people looked at this thing and said, "Man, whoever thought of this gonna make a bunch of money. Good idea, but I'm not gonna do that because this is gonna open up doors in my life that I can't take right now."
And I don't have a problem with you saying
it's not good
like you guys are married,
right?
And you say no, this is not for us because that may or may not, and I'm not even gonna put myself in a position to find out if it will open up doors for us,
right?
Totally understand.
But if someone else wants to make that decision, you're saying it's not a illegal or a wrong.
Right. And my concern though is that this is now becoming the norm. It's okay. It's public. There used to be a time where everybody knows where the sex store is. Even if you wanted to go, you snuck it because you didn't want anybody in your personal business. Now they have sex toy classes in church, so it's. Yes. For the married couples, they will come.
It's crazy.
So, like, there is no more sense of privacy. There is no more sense of we don't hide anything anymore. Everything is out and open.
But is that not because they've shown that countries who are more sexually open, they have a lower pregnancy rate and they have a lower STD rate and stuff like that because it is not something that's taboo. It is not something that we hide and do. Sexuality is a part of human development, and I think that the thin line, the gray area is it's a part of human. It's a part of human development. If you want to be biblical, Adam and Eve were naked when they were created. When they sinned, they realize, they recognize their nakedness. So there's a shame that comes because of the fallen world we live in. We're thinking that our nakedness or our sex or whatever it is this thing we're supposed to hide. So for me, it's not necessarily like I don't have a problem with the openness of having an open conversation about sex. So that's what my issue is in society today. My issue in society today is that there is no sense of limits. There's no sense of boundaries. It's almost like if you want it, you can go and get it. And so for me, when I see these dolls, what I'm seeing in my head as someone who was almost raped is a lifeless woman who can't respond, who is being taken advantage of. What type of images are creating in that man's head? So even when he gets a live woman, he may want to get it while she's asleep, or she don't have to say yes or no, because that's not what, right? So for me, when I look at this stuff, the boundaries we're crossing, that like there's no longer the lines that we're beginning to cross when it comes. That's where I become concerned. Now you're having dolls that look like kids. Okay, what we're gonna have now? 6-month-old babies.
I didn't know.
Or animals.
And that came out.
I mean, at what point? So that's my that's for me. It's not sex is open now. It's that.
Before you leave, while we have you here. Oh, you're back. Okay. Well, before you leave, also we didn't get a chance to get into was the two. Well, was one at the time when there was two women who was abruptly stopped during their testimony.
Oh Lord.
I'm serious. Listen, but let me tell you why I put that on there. Huh?
I hate testimony time.
Well, if it's testimony time, because they done took that out of service now. I don't even know how many
wasn't
places
a testimony.
For right reason.
That was not a testimony.
Here we go. Okay. Listen. And this is why, because, you know,
it's an abrupt change
it started off with the lady. It started off with the lady talking about her transgressions. I don't know if it was her past or present or whatever, but she was talking about the things that she did. I'm quite sure you saw the video. You know, could have been before she got here. I don't know, but she was delivered at the moment, I think, because she was. It sounded like she was revving up to a butt God, but she didn't get a chance to get
deliverance.
Well, no, she said I used to be.
She was enjoying that, talking about.
But she might have been under the influence. She sounded a little slurred in the speech, but she was saying I used to be a, so forth, and this is what I used to do. So. The reason why I said I don't know when it took place, we just know it wasn't happening then.
Well, let's be honest. She didn't say I used to. She said I did. So we don't know if she.
No, she said when I used to come home from school in XYZ. So this is talking about past, unless she looked a little too old.
The one that was talking about what she did with her mouth and stuff.
Yeah.
But she was talking about that.
She was. It sounded like something like she had just done it. She was confessing that she had done it.
Right.
And that she was repentant of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it didn't seem like it was a long time ago.
But that's why I said I don't know how far back or if she just did it, but it wasn't happening at the moment. And it sounded like she was getting to but God, but God brought me here today. I don't know where she was going with it.
I don't know how that sound like she was getting there.
She was saying these are the things that I was doing.
What was going to happen?
It sounded like she was going somewhere, but I don't know if she was.
She was going somewhere
until the mic was dropped.
It was.
I think that's a way.
Was like, thank you very much.
I really think that was a way to cultivate her in what she was saying, because sometimes when you get up and you're telling your story, you just tell your story, especially when it's your story and you're passionate about it. We all had the old church mothers that'll come up and rub your back when you standing up to remind you in church, baby.
Right.
And as soon as that happens,
there's children here.
Yes.
All right.
That reminds you.
Come on, listen. Okay.
But
I don't disagree. There was children in the congregation, but I think that they could have handled her.
Yes.
Oh well, yeah.
That's what I'm not saying.
Okay.
Let her continue. Now, in the church defense, I don't know if they whispered 3 times before they took the mic. I don't know that. What I can say, what bothered me, the mic taken, I didn't like that. But it wasn't that. It was the immediate response of hers when the mic was taken away. She looked very confused, like she didn't know what she had just done to warrant this. Like, what did I say? Like, because this is her lingo. This is how she talks. Yeah. So she looking like, what happened?
She's used to open mic.
But we have to also be conscious about the people that we allow to get on the mic in front of the people that we're ministering to.
With that also, did you see what she had on? They made a conscious decision.
That's what I'm saying. We as
leaders,
leaders, we have to be conscious of who we're giving a mic to and who they're talking to at that time. We have to, sometimes we even have to talk to them before they give their testimony. Let me see what you're going to say so that I can help you out so this will not happen to you.
So I can point you in the right direction. Maybe you don't need to be...
Exactly. This might not be the testimony time. We might need you an adult testimony or something else. But the harsh part is when we looked at it, not the way the leaders took the mic away. Because and I wouldn't even say that, because it could have been that you said, she might have was already told, hold on, you can't say that numerous of times. Or he didn't know what else to do, so that was a training moment for him. I understand everybody want to jump on her bandwagon. She could be hurt. Believe it, he's getting crushed. Right. The woman that was behind the pulpit is getting ripped up on. And that the lady who looked like the victim, might have walked away saying, I've been to this church numerous times. I knew this was going to happen.
Or she could have walked away and went back and continue doing what she was doing prior to getting there. Let's keep it that way. But listen, you just said it could have been a teaching moment for him,
It could have been a teaching moment.
But then the lady who was presiding had to been, she's in a position of leadership, so I would assume that she would know the correct way.
Well, hold on. We want the correct way to be in front of the camera. Who's to say that this did not happen? Who's to say she wasn't loved up on after she walked away? The camera cut off, the video cut off, but who's to say somebody didn't pull her up while she was going back to the seat, or a mother saying, let me talk to you before you leave?
Why is it okay to openly embarrass people, but it's not okay to openly
That's what I don't understand.
Well, hold on.
Wait a minute. You was getting ready to say something because I know y'all get ready to go.
No.
Hold on. Okay. Who's to say it wasn't an open apology? We didn't see what happened after the camera stopped.
I agree.
The hard part, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm Bible. I love Bible. Open rebuke is better than secret love. Who's to say she wasn't a constant visitor who continued to do this kind of stuff? And then, because you do have them in church, these people come up off the streets, and we love them. We give them opportunity. And I hate to say these people like they're different than us. So I apologize if I offended anyone. But you have people that come off the street, and they want to give their testimony. Some of them are high. Some of them are drunk. You want to give them an opportunity, and all of a sudden, what we thought wasn't going to happen, all of a sudden happened. Now you have to gather everything up before it messes up anybody else's mind. You got children right there. We got to stop this right here. We'll deal with it after, but we have to.
So what would you have done differently as the bishop?
Based off of what you've seen.
Right.
Based off of what I seen, I would have took the mic. I would have actually went on with the service, and I would have had somebody come and minister to her, or I would have came down and ministered to her. But at that point, I have to stop what
you're doing. Address that with the congregation?
Sure, but who's to say they didn't address it?
No. We're not talking about the video. We're talking about you.
Sure.
With the information that you
and
had.
I would have addressed the one who allowed her to come up in front of the whole church.
What kind of address? Address them how?
Oh, you want me to actually tell you what I would have said?
Yes, sir.
Well, I can't actually tell you what I would have said at that time, because that time becomes a spiritual and teaching moment. I don't know what God would have made me tell.
This just happened? No. You are the bishop of the church, because this is a spontaneous moment.
Because you don't know the whole story.
Did God always make you say
stuff?
Wait. Does God everything you say?
Are you going to allow me to say what I'm going to say?
You ain't let me ask the question yet.
Both of y'all need to come to the summit.
No, God does not always tell us exactly what to say. Sometimes it's giving us into His wisdom what to say and how to handle it right there. So I can't say what I would have said right then, because I don't know the whole scenario. Okay. I do know this. I do know this.
Also remember, church is also a business. So as a business, you got to know how to conduct yourself.
Right.
So from point A to point B, you should have somebody should have had already filtered her.
Exactly.
I agree.
And towards that point, now that she's in the limelight, all the stars are looking at her. Y'all should have known how. They should have known how to address it.
Yeah. Exactly. Because
it was so focused that everybody comes on and goes with their speech. I want to be thankful. God brought me from A to B. He's got me this. He's got me that. I found Jesus. I found God. But then when somebody throws that monkey wrench,
which is going to come,
and they don't expect it, or they don't prepare for it.
Exactly. And I think she responded, "We're going to keep you in prayer," and they went on and with the rest of the service.
I know my pastor would have, what he would have said, a teachable moment, he would have gently reminded folks that, guys, I know it's testimony time, but when you come up in front of the congregation, here's
because
what
that's the way you're talking
this
to
just
her
sounds
and
like
to your congregation.
Yeah, this is what it should sound like.
This
It's a reminder that this is we're not gonna have because you remember you're in the presence of God and stuff. So that I think that's
right.
He would have addressed it openly.
Right. You don't just walk
right there.
Anybody else got a testimony?
Right.
Just
Not
act like that just happened.
Not to say they didn't do it. Not to say they didn't do that.
About to say,
don't know.
because we did not see the whole tape.
No, we did see the mic was taken from her.
I agree with that.
The guy walked off.
I agree
the lady
with that.
got up and said, "Does anyone else have a
I agree
testimony?"
with that. Now,
so that she continued on as if it didn't happen.
Who's to say that she was the senior leader? Who's to say she was the one that was supposed to say that? Who's to say the pastor didn't come up after her?
It doesn't matter. You have to consider the flock that
You
observed
missing
this.
what I'm saying?
It's not just
you
the,
missing what
it's
I'm
not
saying?
just the
You
person
missing
that.
there are some things. No, listen to what I'm saying. There are some things that elders do not have the opportunity or the right to say when certain things act up in the church. The pastor, the elder can say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to keep going. And then the pastor can say,
but don't you have deacons for that?
I agree. Hold on.
Don't you have deacons
Every
for that?
church is ran in a different order. But some deacons, some deacons' job is not for that. Some elders' jobs are not for that. Some things the pastor has to get up and correct. All offices of different fellowships runs different ways.
So
I would agree. I think that's the pastor should have.
Are you telling me that the pastor
that.
is always at the church?
Not so.
So
I'm
when the
not
pastor,
saying-
wait. When the pastor's not at the church, is there not someone assigned to handle these things?
I agree.
So wait. So if there was somebody there assigned to handle that thing, and they did not get up to handle that thing, somebody was negligent. Am I right?
Stop right there. Here it is. You're right. You're right on that.
Okay.
But who's to say that woman that was in the pulpit was the one to handle it?
Exactly. And
Exactly.
That's,
That's what I'm
saying.
saying.
The video, so they could have done it.
They could have done
At the end of
it
the day,
after the
somebody
fact.
should have handled it. Me
Right.
personally,
Who's to
I
say
think-
it wasn't handled?
I know.
No,
Me
it was
personally,
very short.
I think the person who had control was the one who was holding the mic.
At that moment,
So the deacon on the floor.
The deacon on the
So
floor.
who's to say he was trained to handle that situation?
He should have.
He should
And
not
if he
have
wasn't
been
trained, he
on-
shouldn't be in office.
That's
the
not
next
true.
time-
That's not
no,
true.
that's
That's not true. There's a learning moment. God allows you a learning moment.
And that may have never happened before.
and then again, that might not have ever happened. Pastor comes back in, and someone teaches them now. If this ever happens again, Deke, this is what I need you to do. Whoever's up there emceeing, because that could have just been someone there to MC. It didn't have to be a leader.
But understand that even though there was a teaching moment and there was an opportunity for people to learn, the leadership staff to learn from that, there were people in the congregation. Stop.
Go ahead.
There were people in the congregation that were impacted by what just happened. There were people that watched that clip throughout Facebook and all the cyber world that was impacted by what just happened, and we weren't able to heal and mend through this process. So all we have is what you gave us, and what you gave us, and what she gave us was, let's act like that just didn't happen. That's exactly what she gave us.
That's how she dealt with it. Who's to say the leader, the senior leader, did not deal with it?
You missed my point.
No,
But
no.
let's go ahead to read
Michelle
Mr.
said maybe they should have cared more about the person who was testifying and not exposed her by posting the video. Compassion for the person is what was needed in this moment. So I'm assuming she means whoever it was. No, it wasn't the Pope. It wasn't the church.
Somebody just recorded it.
But I think. But even then, I guess she's saying whoever recorded that should have
more compassion.
You know, had
And it was the
compassion
compassion for her that would have blessed the people watching. If I would listen, as a person now, I know church inside and out. I know the failures and I know our successes. But if I wasn't of the world, I was of the world, I wasn't a part of church, I would look at that and say, that's why I don't go to church.
Well, let me go to the next part of this same thing. This was the original reason for this question. But then last week, there was another testimony. And a woman had stood up and she was confessing that she was molested at the age of 8 years old.
She wasn't confessing. She was outing her mother in public.
She was confessing her molestation, and I don't consider it that way. But she was saying, she got up and confessed that she was molested because that's her story to tell at 8 years old. And the man who did this to her was her her mother's boyfriend. Now, even if it was, you can look at it as outing her mother in front of her church. However this goes, if this happened, because it's still alleged, I don't know if it did or if it didn't. I don't think she would just lie like that unless she had some sort of issue with her mother. It could be that. But to get up here and to say that you are putting your own business out there on forefront, if she felt like it had to be done here, coming from a person who has been molested, and being though it is in the church, your anger and hurt is sometimes directed towards the church. So this might have, I'm not saying right or wrong, this could have been her healing. I'm going to do it here because a lot of the stuff that it dwelled here. My mother's attention was here and not on me. Could have been. Not saying that's the case. But there could have been a reason for why she decided to do that out her mother. So at the church.
Or she felt safe. Maybe she was saying that, Mom, you're a hypocrite.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And because I'm saying because of that, that's why she did it in that place and not did it because people kept saying, why would she do this at church? The church could have been to her the core reason for why her mother.
I don't have a problem with her doing it at the church. The church actually handled it. Well, I'm not gonna say I don't have a problem. I don't think that was the best vehicle for her to. I mean, the best location for her to have this disclosure. But if it was gonna happen, that should have been handled slightly better.
You know what I'm saying?
Because she was already damaged. It was obvious that she was damaged. And mother was damaged.
Can I say something? Because honestly, if you're looking at these videos, the videos, and I look at it spiritually a whole lot when it's especially dealing with the church. The videos is to damage the credibility of the church.
I agree.
These people who are putting this stuff out here don't love the church. They don't care about the church people. They're just trying to expose why we should not go to church.
Why we can't make these learning experiences?
Can I finish what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. It is a learning experience, but we as believers can not continue to point at the church about these issues, but identify that this is an attack on the church.
Let me say that this
while
is what
dealing
this
with the issues in the church.
Listen, when the reason why I'm saying it is because you have people that is both in the church who don't agree with how this was handled, but because I am a part of the church, I'm a part of the body, I'm going to stand with you in your decision. When that woman got up there and did that, the whole service was in an uproar. Why? Not why the woman was saying her testimony, but because the mother got up and said, I rebuke you, and then bind her in the name of Jesus in front of the whole church. And then the service went into an uproar. And of course you have people that was the wrong place, wrong time. But why, first of all, why was she planning to do this? Or whether it was just I had to do this right now, or whether that was her truth, and she's hurting. Then they said, like you said, it could have been she just was vindictive and wanted her. If
I didn't say she was vindictive.
No, I'm saying this is what the people were saying on the comments. She wanted to hurt her mother. If that's the truth, she still needs to be here because something's wrong.
But she didn't need to be
if she
there.
wants to, no, I mean she needs to be at this moment.
Okay, so
it's not. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No. So, all right. So because I take a couple of things. So one, she may have said in church because lots of people feel safe in church,
right?
And they feel that they need help, just like a lot of people crying out for help. And because of the way they ask for help, we either dismiss it or we judge it.
Right.
So this may she's feeling safe. So this may have been her way. Second thing is, I don't know what we can say on radio, because I'm
whatever you
want.
Oh
no, yes.
I don't give a flying 2, 3, 4, 5x4, 6x8 about if the mother was outed or hurt or whatever. Your child was 8 years old and you had a boyfriend that touched her. As far as I'm concerned, you don't have a right to have feelings about this. So that's for me. Is that as a mother, this child was 8 and told you this and molested you, and I'm sure. Not the first time the mother's hearing it because she's rebuking her. Which to me means you being defensive or whatever. That's second. The third thing is, as church folk, we do very poorly with handling domestic violence. We do poorly with handling sexual abuse. We do poorly with handling rapes in marriage because it happened. Once again, that whole sex stuff. Anything it's almost like we don't
taboo.
You don't talk about it. It's not the place. We're fine with dealing with addicts. We're fine with dealing with a whole bunch of sort of stuff that we can come to church and you can be healed and you can talk to me, you can give your testimony. But the minute somebody wants to talk about openly, this is what I did, this is what I was doing, this is what happened to me, we automatically want to shut him up. Exactly. If that had been an addict talking about how many times he shot up every day in his veins and how he felt good, they would have, hallelujah, I'm so glad you're delivered. So that's,
no, go ahead.
So that's kind of my issue with all this. I agree. It's a small clip. People put it out there to get the church judged.
Right.
But in a way, too, what I'm hoping is, on your terms, is we start to look at this as a church and say, okay,
there
is something here.
And that is exactly why I do. This is why I want to. This is not about bashing the church. I know we're going to go to commercial break, but this is not about bashing the church. This is the don't just say I'm going to stand with you just because it's your faith, it's your religion. No. Find what's wrong. And if you disagree, say you disagree, and let's figure out what we can do differently so that we don't keep having the same thing happen over and over again. Exactly. Listen, y'all, we have to go to commercial break. I need y'all to, if you can stay tuned, share this so that others can take part of the conversation. When we come back, we're going to finish this. Show's almost over. We're going to finish this, and we're going to get into next week's topic. I think. We'll see about that. Stay tuned.
Exposed Radio.
More money, let them know like you're gonna get a hit if you do some rap stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, appropriation, like they be getting their money. I was just about to talk about that too. Appropriation. Is it appropriation when they do? Because Miley Cyrus. Like think about it. You got like Miley Cyrus. You had Justin Bieber, and you had like even Katy Perry and Pink. You remember? I don't know if y'all remember Pink. She used to do like some hip hop stuff, some like R&B stuff too. Do you think that's appropriation? Are they taking from the culture without like?
I don't know. Like
without giving.
The way I look at it is, if it seems forced, then 9 times out of 10 it's not really them. Yeah. So then it's appropriation. You feel me? But if I hear sincerity and the genuineness in what you're doing, and if they decide to label it hip hop, and your skin ain't the typical hip hop skin, you feel me? I can accept it as hip hop, like, cause hip hop is what we do. Like, you feel me? Like people don't look at it like that, but it is. Like, and Busy B himself told me that. You feel me? Like, rap is a thing that we do. You feel me? And hip hop is something that we live.
Right.
So if you telling me your truth, but your skin and my skin on opposite sides of the barrier, who am I to say that that's not hip hop?
That's true. That's true. Now, and we got a newer person. I don't know if y'all know about this, but we got a new person that's kind of like on that culture too. Well, she's not really new. Fergie. Y'all remember Fergie
from Black Eyed Peas?
Yeah, yo. I heard she got a new album out, and I was unfortunately I was listening to this with a female friend of mine, a few weeks ago, and I'm not gonna lie, bro, it's actually pretty good. And I was real surprised, yo. It's like
what's up, guys? It's your boy Shepsworth Bentley, and make sure you guys check out Homegrown Radio every Sunday, 7 to 8 p.m. right here on BeExposedRadio.com. It's new, fresh Baltimore radio.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
They know Sunset Soul by now.
No, we are having a delightful night.
Everybody, y'all know how
that
Sunset
lovely
Soul
married
is.
couple.
I tell you earlier I was gonna sit on her lap.
He did.
Prophesy. Yes, Lord.
The marriage bed is undefiled.
Pat, back up from Mike.
Another thing you said tonight.
Pastor Pendleton has joined us in the place to be. So he kind of shift out. Cheers, thank you for
See, you see what happens? He just tearing up stuff.
I ain't touching.
Thank you for joining us.
Just going to hold it.
Thank you for joining us, Pastor Pendleton.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on Sunset Soul.
Of course it is, because we sunset. With soul.
We sunset with soul.
Before the commercial break, we were talking about the two, both testimonies of the women that came in at the church, and they, the one woman talked about her past indiscretions, and she was stopped abruptly, and the mic was taken from her and sent on her merry way. And the second woman told the testimony, and she, the mother stood up. She was saying that she was molested by her mother's boyfriend, and the mother stood up and basically rebuked her, and the service kind of went another way after that. Now, the purpose of us using today's topic is: am I obligated to? What was the word? Are you obligated to
support?
That was the word. Based on race, gender, or religion? Because a lot of people felt like, because of what I believe, and like you said, they're painting the church in a bad light. I'm going to stand with the church on this one, and we do that. And I'm not saying at some point in times I don't believe like y'all married, Miss Rachel and Mr. Pierre here, speaking about the Mother and Son Summit. We talked about that earlier. But if you have a disagreement, I can understand you saying, well, whatever my wife says or whatever my husband says, that's where I stand. And then waiting till you get home to say, I didn't particularly agree with that wholeheartedly, but I'm going to stand with you. I'm not disputing with that. And I think that's what people do sometimes with the church. But if your decision to do that is going to affect a great deal of people, because we're all following you, and you're saying, don't go this way because there's a ditch, and you're saying there is no ditch, and then you say, you know what, I'm just going to stand with my husband because that's my husband, and you lead us all into a ditch. That's a problem for me. Like, there has to be a time that you hold whatever you believe accountable. You know what? I think at this point in time, I can't agree with that. I think that we should have handled that differently or stop.
That's the key word.
What?
We. The problem is we won't take personal accountability for what we say we believe. So instead of me, I take personal accountability when I see these instances that go on for the church with the church, because I say all the time that I am the church. So it's my personal responsibility to assess this situation so that I can change whatever it is that I have going on, so that I can be a different reflection, opposite of what it is that everybody's seeing. We can't see the stuff and say, oh no, they just trying to make us look bad. We do look bad. It's not about making us look bad. We do look bad. We have to stop saying they look bad. And we have to identify that we look bad. So in order for us to look better, I gotta shine bright.
I think the perspective of it is kind of twisted.
Or the ones that are putting these videos out need to put out the good stuff that we are doing.
Are you looking for the enemy? Are you looking for the enemy to shine light on you?
But here's the reality of it. Here's the reality of it. That video, referring to the second video regarding the young girl getting up having testimony about her mother, I really believe she wanted to make a spectacle in the house of faith for her.
Make a spectacle of her mother. I don't think it was about the house of faith.
Right, but if you know that you're getting in the house of faith, she wanted to put on something. She wanted the world or the church to know about her, how she felt about what transpired between her and her mother. So first thing is, we all have this instinct of how to operate the correct way and the wrong way. And if there was an issue that she wanted to bring it to the church regarding her mother, it could have been handled so many different ways. So she wanted to do that. She wanted that attention. She wanted her mother to feel some kind of embarrassment because she had prestige in the church. That's just what that was. And in regards to the first girl who was giving her testimony, and she was telling about what she did for money, and how I mean, honestly, I probably would have stopped that too. Two reasons. One reason is because there may be children in the room, and you don't want children to be exposed to too much too soon. I think that's what's wrong with our children. They see too much too soon. And then the other part of it is that let me help you process that. Let me get you some counseling, help you process what you're experiencing.
But when you said you would have stopped it, how would you have stopped it?
You would have snatched the mic out of her hand?
She didn't have the microphone. If you look at the video, the guy had the microphone.
Okay, but I mean, how would you have stopped it?
I was like, I would have said something to the congregation, and I was like, listen, let's pray for her. She's been through some things. I would have said that. I
know you would.
That's my character. We're gonna stop right here, and let's go to prayer. Because now I need first of all, I need God's presence to come back in the room, and I need to become under subjection to the right spirit. That's the first thing. And the second thing is I want the enemy to know you can't win here. And so oftentimes we cut off. Facebook and social media doesn't give the real reflection of what may have happened after that. All the people, what you see on Facebook now is, this happened in the church. Nobody sees what happened. Nobody knows what the conversation was. Nobody knows what happened. And so we polarize the negative and we minimize the positive. And then we say that's what's wrong with the church. Well, the church is a hospital full of sick folk, all of us trying to be healed. And if you can't bring anything to add to it, you got whatever issue you got with the church, that's between you and your God. But don't be mad at the church for trying to do something positive.
But you can't say that wrong isn't wrong if you see wrong. And that's all I'm saying. We see the stuff happen, and we feel like because we're a part of the body, we are the church, it's our responsibility to shield them from whatever the wrong is that people see. We're going to point, I'm not going to talk about this issue. I'm going to talk about the enemy. And he's trying to expose the church. Well, at this point, the church is already exposed. Regardless of what happened before or after, this is what has been exposed. What are you going to do with that? And that's all I'm asking. What do we do with that?
You were so quiet. I forgot you was right here.
It's unbelievable.
That's his homeboy was talking. His homeboy was talking.
No, you shush me. Keisha, shush me.
Sorry, go ahead, but I did forget.
The craziness is what I'm talking about is we are illuminating what happened, but we don't know what happened afterwards. We don't know what that leader might have said. We don't know the correction process that happened. That could have been a great pastor who could have been there. And when she walked away, somebody beyond the camera view could have hugged her, could have ministered to her. It could have went any other way. What we're doing, we're amplifying how she felt, and we don't even know how she felt.
No,
we're amplifying what happened.
No, we're amplifying how we felt.
Exactly.
Then say that, because that's not what I'm hearing. I'm not hearing this is what
you're hearing it. You're hearing our perspective, our emotion.
I'm telling you what I'm hearing. I'm hearing what they did wrong, how the mic was dropped, what the person on top was saying, what they were thinking, what they should have done.
I asked you, what would you do? I said, I'm trying to be accountable.
You know, it's personal when you say lead. That's just.
I'm sorry.
No, it's quite fine. It's lead.
No, I'm saying it's not fair for you to think that we are not identifying this on a one-on-one personal impact level. This is not. We're not speaking for them.
On a one-on-one level, my first response was what I first saw was I was hurt for her, and I was disappointed in what the video didn't show.
Now let me just before you finish that, let me just say, listening to your responses, you would have stopped because the bishop is about the order of the service. You, on the other hand, is about compassion for the lady. Let me finish. It's your immediate response to the question. When I said it to you prior to him coming in the room, your response is about the order of service. I would have stopped it. That's what you said. I would have stopped it too, and because it's about the order of service. I asked you how you would have stopped it. You said I don't know exactly what I would have said because it's not you can't speak of what you would have said then, which it's not a bad thing. I'm just saying your perspective of the situation, how you would have handled would have been about the service and keeping the service in line with the way.
What I said.
That's all of what you said.
I would have stopped.
And you even talked about whose responsibility.
I'm not saying that you didn't care about the lady. I'm saying your focus was about the service. It wasn't about the lady.
I didn't get that from
I did get it
what he said. I got it that. Go ahead.
I did get that he would have stopped it and then he would have redirected off camera.
Right. I'm not saying that he wouldn't. I'm saying I'm just talking about his initial thought. Like, what should I say? The major concern
is to take control over the service.
Take control over the service.
But he also said about bringing that spirit, bringing the.
This ain't a wrong
But
thing.
he said, but he also said one of the things he said was bringing that service back into the subjection of the right spirit. So, that would have been one of his initial, because by that point the service is all out of order. Like people are
right. But he said, and I would have prayed. But he said for the service and for the woman, I would have prayed for the service.
Let's pray for her.
Right.
That's what his.
Right. I'm just saying. I'm just looking at what the focus is initially from two different.
He also had time to think about his answer. By
he actually did. He actually
was out there. Well, let me be very honest.
He
went all the way back to a conversation.
I didn't. He was just concerned about the service. I got when he was talking. I got now. It's out of order. It's out of order. The spirit, the whole atmosphere is out of order. We need to get back to people refocused and back. At least I'm thinking that's what. And he even said that he would, if he had to come down, if he was in service, he had to come down and even talk to her or identify someone to say, "Can you go with her?" He would have done that. He did say that as part of his.
No, I know that he would. I wasn't saying that was his only focus. Okay. I'm saying based on what he said, I would have. The initial concern would have been to get the order of service, get it back on track. The order of service is how, when I asked what would you have done if you were in this situation, what would you have done? And he said I would have stopped it, and he would have got the structure of the service back in order. I'm just saying from just the way what Pastor Penninger just said, he also said, but he said I would have prayed, which is still stopping. I'm not saying that he wouldn't, but his focus wasn't just on the service. It was also about praying for her. Looking at the comments, the reason for me bringing this up is because everybody is jumping on this whole bandwagon of that was inappropriate at the church and kind of dogging this lady out. You don't see compassion because we have become so focused on maintaining an order of service. I just feel like we're lacking some compation for.
Let me say this. Let me respond. Wait a minute. You've been talking for an hour and a half. Now here's the response. Hour and a half. So the responsibility for me. The responsibility for me is I think it was appropriate for her to be in worship. I think it was appropriate for her to get a release because that's why we come to worship. We come to worship to get help. I think she was expressing where she was and didn't know how to do it. And she was only saying what she heard people say for years. If you watched her body language, she was uncomfortable. Yeah. God won't be mocked. She's going by what she heard. That's how she knew church lingo, but she didn't know the relationship with Christ.
Right.
And so I think as the church, our first responsibility as believers, our first responsibility cannot be to demean somebody or say it's not appropriate for church. Well, if people come to church broken, ain't appropriate for church, why do we go to church? The purpose of the church is for a place of healing for broken people. So if she came in broken trying to give her testimony, she's saying, this is what God delivered me from. And you could see she still had some struggles when she was walking up there.
You feel that same compassion for the lady that got molested?
I never, what got molested?
You said you feel like she came there to dog her mother.
Yeah, because if you look at her motives, the way her whole body language, her whole positioning, I never said the girl didn't have issues. I said she came to the church with the motive.
She was sick.
She used to use the little boy.
She was sick.
Right. She came to the motive to do something with my mother. Now, what I would have done with that situation, I never answered what I would have done. What I would have done with that situation was I would have took both of them. Hey, listen, let's pray. But I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna go.
He really gonna talk for an hour and a half.
Let's take this out of the sanctuary. Because watch this, I don't want anybody else who may be going through a process not to hear from God and be distracted by what this moment is. So we're gonna pray. We're gonna recenterize this. We're gonna take this out of the sanctuary. We're gonna deal with this broken family, and we're gonna figure out what's going on.
So you're gonna set back order, get the service back in order.
There's gonna be compassion,
and that's why they let it go too far. They need to control, and at the end of the day, you need to control the church. And then once the person starts speaking for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, you should have got
it was some cues in there where this is going.
Right. You heard some signals. Right. Like, oh.
Hey, can Bishop explain that? Yes. You've been trying to say.
But wait a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I just want to say, when you talk, because I can hear you, I just kind of want you to move in the direction of one of the mics a little bit.
One thing.
I can hear you.
One thing, though. I do want us to be mindful of the fact that everybody was assigned certain gifts. So our responses to these things are based off of our gifts.
Exactly.
That's what you were trying to say. You're a bishop. The office of administration is to set things in order. So that's what you do automatically. You are, you are pastor too, but you are hands-on pastoring right now. So your first thought process is to let me get the pull the heartstrings on these people. Let me touch this aspect. So we can't knock each other because we see it differently.
And you actually said that. You said everybody is not in the same role. So I'm saying if you two were in the same building at that time when a person came to testify, then you may have stopped the service and he would have went and prayed. So I'm pointing out the difference of tactic used. Right. It's not a right or wrong or this one. I'm just saying everybody sees it, but it doesn't.
I don't see it as a difference. Like you said, like you pinpointed, it's everybody's role.
Right.
It's everybody's role inside the church. That goes back to what I was saying. What's the deacon's role? What's the pastor's role? What's the clergy's role? Everybody's under one umbrella, and they need to
know their roles.
Right. We got to take this last commercial break. When we come back, we probably just going to stay here because there's no sense of going nowhere else. We're going to stay on this topic. Stay tuned. Listen, y'all, while we are here, we're going to read your comments. Would you have done anything differently? Do you feel like this is something that the church needs to work on, or do you feel like they handled it in order. You think that it was the way that it should have been, and we should see things from a different way. I mean, we definitely read, and we're gonna read them on a commercial break, and we'll read some when we come back. Stay tuned.
I'm sorry.
Your phone fell over.
It fell. I'm sorry.
It's time for a flashback.
Now I'm not gonna say all Aries don't know.
It's just the one you had. That was just.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com, the home of Talk Lately with Monty, every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Black by Demand radio show.
2 years ago. If you broke that bike and it don't work, that's on you, brother. I suggest you get that toolkit out back and then start working with it, right? Yeah. So my son's looking at me like, wow. And I broke down to him how we had got fixing flat tires down to a science. You understand what I mean? Sticking the tube in the water. Right? Talk to me, brother. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, you know, critical thinking. And see, and we look at that now, and like kids, they not as on hands like we were back in the day.
That's because nowadays you don't have to put the bikes together anymore. They can come assembled.
Yeah, everything's coming assembled.
In the store, they ask you like if you want it already assembled.
Right.
Back then, you just got the box with 1 million pieces.
Right, and today I don't think they could work with that.
It's just like the thought process. Nowadays, you get a bike that's already put together. Now, when you were younger, you had to put this bike together.
You got to put it together.
That basically closes your mind into learning how to do something.
Yes.
Now you're giving it something. So, okay, you take this. And this is what it is.
Right,
so now we have to run with this instead of teaching the child, this is how you put this together so you see the result as this.
Right. Critical thinking. I like that. So look,
join the Just a Bit Outside crew every Monday, 8 to 10 p.m. on BeExposedRadio.com.
You want to start off?
I think I'll get it out of the way on a who's not.
Okay, do it.
The Orioles.
Right.
They got swept by the Royals. They lost 4 in a row, and the last 5 games have all been decided by 1 run. The game before, or the last game that they lost before the Royals was the Nationals, and as Weeders, of course, won with a home run.
Hit the home run.
Right. They were going into that National series. It seemed like they were doing so well, and they just crapped out. They got that game postponed, so who knows when they're going to replay that or play that game. That's my first not for the night.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and weigh in on my who's not, and I'm gonna talk about the San Diego Padres.
The Padres. That's okay. You just took my answer.
They're in last place in the NL West. They've lost 8 of their last 10. Their run differential is.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Monique should not. I ain't put Monique because I ain't get none of that check.
Tamika Brinson, is this one of your friends, or this is new viewer?
Bishop friend.
Bishop? This one of your friends, Tamika. They've been getting on me the whole time, so I understand, and I'm not saying it in a difference like it's in a way that's stands out. I'm just saying different viewpoints or different tax used. Order is still order, so I agree. Before the commercial break, well, you heard me. We were talking about the woman telling the testimonies, and I asked, passed it. See, that's a distraction.
That's the devil.
Bind you. Can I bind the shoe?
No.
No. Okay.
Never mention it.
I
would just want to.
We cover. Love covers a lot.
Absolutely.
And we're in covenant relationship.
So, Dia said, I think there has historically been such a negative stigma placed on sexual victims.
Sexual assault victims, the shame, blame, isolation, and condemnation that nobody knows how to address it or deal with it. Michelle, I should read it because we have come up with different ways to handle these issues. The old ways of pushing problems to the side and silencing the outspoken or people who don't fit the mold need to end. People don't want to be bothered with the church because they see it as fake. If we shun the broken for the sake of control instead of helping them, we lose more souls.
But we never shun the broken. The
broken feel shunned.
But how,
it's not a matter of it's a matter of perception. So there's a lot of things that the church does that they feel that they're doing for the betterment of the people. But the people aren't necessarily in a proper position to receive it as such.
But here's my question then. If the statement was, we're going to minister to that need when it comes up, we're not going to stop service to minister that need. But what we're going to do is we're going to minister that need. First of all, we're going to pray for you. We're going to deal with the issue. We're going to get you some psychological help.
You would,
but I think the perception of what people say about the church is not doing. We're doing the work, but there's multiple facets of ministry. And so and if you think that the church service is supposed to stop and everything, nothing that's supposed to happen, then the other people who are in the congregation who need help too, because they all came to the same well for help, are not going to get what they need because I'm stopping everything and doing one. The church, the church does multiple things at the same time. And if people stop looking at the church as the place of problem and look at the place as a hospital full of sick folk, you may need one thing. She may need something else. She may need a one-on-one touch. You may just need to hear a word.
Well, maybe I want to heal at home because I don't want to be around a bunch of sick people. This is the approach that the people are taking. Okay, I hear you. It's a hospital. Y'all sick. I'm sick too. I don't want to go there.
Okay,
I want to go. Oh no, I was gonna say, can Bishop talk? I'm his new lawyer. He's a new attorney.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll pay you later.
Yeah.
I'll pay you later.
Don't worry.
Awesome. My biggest issue right now is not with the church, but when you look at leaders, we need to learn how to utilize other leaders.
Exactly.
We don't, and I learned this from Lisha as well. Just the different communication. Some things we can't handle. We need to learn that this is not my church. Even though this is the location God made me steward over, this is not my church. So I might have to call another pastor or refer you to somebody with the degree. Pastors don't have all the answers. Right. Therefore, what we should do is network where you have a pastor with a degree in counseling, mental issues, medical issues, or whatever. We need to learn how to pass them on. The problem is we don't deal with the issue because we don't know how to deal with it. And we don't want to send our members anywhere else because they might join that church. Right. So if we learn how to utilize the body for the perfection of the saints, then we will grow as a body instead of just a church. I'm learning.
Thank you.
Listen, everyone who tuned in, I appreciate y'all so much. We are at the end of the show. I want to first give a thank you to my guest, Miss Rachel Dolcine, and her husband, Mr. Pierre Dolcine, for coming. And thank y'all so much. And they sat through all out crazy, and they didn't have to. And we truly appreciate it.
I'm taking him out for coffee after this.
The door was locked.
And it came open when you opened it.
Just know you're welcome back anytime. Just let us know.
So this was my last.
We can ready go. I'm serious. Listen, y'all. Mothers and Sons. The event is February the 17th, 2018, 9 to 5 Saturday. It's a free event. I don't think we said that enough on the show. It is a free event. It does not cost anything, but you must call. You must go to www.compasscts.com. Compass CTS.com to register as soon as you can because spots are filling up and you're going to want to be there. You will see us there. Pastor Pedersen, maybe you know some mothers with sons that might want to take advantage of this.
Your wife?
And
you have a voice too.
I do have. I have a 20-year-old son.
Yes.
We got but I think it goes to what 21.
But I will have. We are the bow gracefully. My wife and I are celebrating Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay. Listen. We got to hurry. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm not cutting you off. We got it because there's another show now that comes on after us, so we got to hurry up.
No, that's what the show.
Thank y'all so much for everybody who tuned in. We will see y'all the same time next week, next Thursday. I was going to introduce say our show for next week, but I think I'm gonna wait.
I'll see y'all next week. I'll be back next week.
Thank y'all. See y'all later.
I'll be late.
Oh.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com, the home of Talk Lately with Monty, every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
50s.